Hi, I'm Helix.
I'm Jonus.
We're gonna do a car talking podcast. We're gonna talk about the Democratic debate.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was
what did
that
you think?
interesting?
Oh man,
It was whole.
opening.
There was some real interesting.
Opening
stuff with
was
that.
like.
Yeah, it was.
So let's talk about it.
All right. Well, I mean, like, what I thought was really weird was how Beto O'Rourke. I can't pronounce his first name for the life of me.
O'Rourke.
Yeah, O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Him and both Kamala Harris. Their main thing was just, hey, screw Trump. Let's bash him a bit for their opening.
Yeah.
Kind of, and that just sucked.
But most of the
others were like talking about unifying and all sorts of stuff like that, which I enjoyed. That was
Buttigieg was attacking Trump just a little bit, but not too much to the point where it's like hate. But for most of the candidates, they were talking about hate.
Yeah.
A little bit of how Trump did a little bit of something, a little bit of something.
Which, I mean, I don't really like when it's a debate, because what I always see and hope for in debates is like, hey, let's talk about our point of views and, you know, like key pieces. You know, not like, hey, screw this one guy on the other side.
Yeah. And then, man, they were like, Harris was like, I know you're watching Trump, and we're all coming after you. Woo!
That was funny.
And then another person that they talked about a lot in a bunch of the like questions and stuff was Obama, and how Obama did a few good things and also did a few bad things.
Yeah.
What did Biden say about to Trump? He didn't say anything about Trump, did he?
I don't think he ever actually mentioned anything about Trump on his opening. It was probably just something similar as to everyone else was saying. But other than that, I don't think he really talked about him. Which, I mean, I kind of like. I think it shouldn't only be about mentioning him being the key point. Yeah. So, what did you think about the whole idea with Medicare for all and that sort of sense? Because it seems like every candidate kind of agrees with it to an extent.
They all agreed to it. Some of them had their few changes in it and stuff like that. But the one thing, so who was the guy that asked the question?
I can't remember the announcer's name.
So okay, the question was about like Medicare and like taxes and stuff like that, because a little heated argument went with
Biden and Bernie. I think.
Biden and Bernie, and then a little bit of.
I think Elizabeth Warren mentioned a little bit, maybe even Castro a little bit in the later.
And so what the question asked was like they were bouncing in thing about price, about like where, like they're gonna eliminate, so it's for everybody, but where's the money gonna go?
See, now it was mainly Bernie and Elizabeth that was mentioning, hey, we want to get rid of privatized healthcare and everything. We want to only have it be Medicare for all.
Yeah.
And I think the only one that really admitted to what that price would be was Bernie himself.
Bernie himself.
Who was saying it was going to be around $30 trillion.
$30 trillion.
But the national expected total was going to be $50 trillion.
Yes.
Which, interestingly enough, I actually went and researched that a little bit more. Turns out his statement is kind of wrong.
Bernie?
Yeah. So in actuality, the over 30 trillion estimate was made in 2018 by Mercatus Center at George Mason University, with the time frame from being around 2020 to 2031. But the time frame for the national health budget, which he was mentioning, was going to be 50,000. So it's going to be fine. We're going to save. Was really around 2018 to 2027, so you can't really compare either of those, because those are two different time frames. Not just that, but then when this same article, which was called Sanders Apples to Oranges Comparison of Medicare for All Costs on the Washington Post, it was an analysis article. It states that Bernie's plan would actually cost more, around $57.6 trillion to $63.8 trillion, based off of the national budgets, federal, mention, and then off of another another actual study that they did, and other studies did themselves. So that's just crazy that it turns out this was kind of wrong. Not just is it not inherently true from Bernie's perspective, but also it's more than what he was trying to claim. It's going to be more expensive to do this
than what Biden was saying.
Biden's mention of his being what?
Funny thing about
billion?
Biden, what Biden was saying, that he was gonna ask people to pay $1,000 to be in the program, and then he also stated that people can be a part of it, or they could pull out and then keep the original plan of healthcare.
It's like an optionability.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Which I can agree with. Yeah, that's really good.
Speaking about other candidates, Andrew Yang got me a little heated for one reason was he's an entrepreneur and I respect that. He makes a lot of money. That's good. Yeah. But how he went about his statement with Health Medicare was he said, "Hey, I'm Asian, so I know a lot of doctors."
Yeah.
Which is okay. One is very true, but
it's a little awkward.
It's a little awkward to talk about, especially if you're like running for presidency. And then when he talks about Medicare, he makes it as a business standpoint, which is good because it's money. Yeah. It's all money, but he really
it's a little tricky of a.
He never told the amount. He never said amount.
I think that's a lot of what most of the people that talked about it really did is like they didn't never specify the amount at all. Even they more just specifically talked about like, hey, this is what it's gonna be.
What they want.
Even Elizabeth Warren, when one of the announcers specifically asked how will taxes be affected by this, she completely dodged the question. She just said the cost themselves would go down, never the actual official thing.
Where's it gonna go? Yeah. Like where? Who's
how
gonna
will
pay
it go
for
down?
It?
What is it gonna change to? Okay. What did you think with how they were kind of getting into after this a bit of the criminal justice reform? Because I think not really. I don't think they lasted long enough on it. They just mentioned it here and there, and then only a couple people talked about it. I think most of them just really said there's a racial bias in the system that is not good. So what I thought was interesting with the criminal justice reform itself is not too many people heavily dived into it. Yeah, Kamala Harris mentioned some stuff in it, but it was more in the sense of, hey, let's fix these issues. Let's, like, these are some of the issues that we have nowadays. There's still racism in the system. It's bad. We should get rid of it. I mean, like, yeah, everyone agrees with that, but that's more difficult done than, said. Like, it's a lot easier said than done.
Easier said than done, yeah.
And what I like, though, is Amy Klobuchar.
Oh, Klobuchar?
Klobuchar, yeah. She actually talked of her time, because one of the announcers literally asked, your time in the prosecution, like, what did you do and why did it seem that you didn't do much? What then she retorted was not inherently true. She actually was very interesting. She talked of how she made sure that if there was any sort of
Didn't she read the bill as well?
What's up?
No, actually no.
No. I think that was from Medicare that you were
saying. Okay.
But with any police involved shootings, she made sure that out-of-state investigators investigated it. It wasn't officers in relation to those
because there is a little
because there might be biased in that sort of thing, which is really great. And also she mentioned of how she made sure that her prosecution worked with the Innocence Project to make sure ID witnessing
witness was first priority, and it has a lot more information.
It's a lot more, because here's the thing that's interesting in life is that eyewitness verification isn't really the best. Yeah, it can be mistaken so many times before, and it's already been shown with that. The Innocence Project has even shown that to be the case, is that eyewitnesses isn't really the best going on right now. It's crazy. And then Biden also mentioned about how he wants to make sure Biden wants to mention how he wants to make sure that how the First Step Act that Trump brought in, how he wants to expand upon that. Same with Klobuchar as well. They both agree that we should expand further than just the First Step Act. We should go into more detail, a bit better with it all. And I can agree with that. Biden himself mentioned that he wants anyone caught using drugs or being addicted to drugs not to really face criminal charges, but to go into rehab. That's the first thing that they have, is just going straight into rehab, which I can agree with. But I would feel it should be mandatory rehab. It shouldn't be like, hey, go in here, you want to leave,
we insist
you have to.
You have to go.
You have to go.
Because sometimes people's
people's addictions might be too strong, so they gotta have it be like they can't leave to be able to break that addiction.
Okay.
All right, so what did you think about gun control? Because that was a little bit after criminal justice.
Wow, gun control.
There were some very interesting statements.
It was very emotional and emotional attacks towards guns, which is very understandable when there was a lot of shootings that happened in recent months. El Paso, Dayton, yes. And I don't know why, but it's just been very, very active for some reason. And
It's weird.
I could understand why people were so, or our candidates were so, like, emotional about it. Especially
heavily emotionally
O'Rourke.
driven. Oh, yeah. Since like, isn't that kind of?
He
the mayor of?
He is the mayor of Texas, and then when that happened, which was very, very traumatizing, and I can understand why he had the hate for AR-15s, AKs.
Even then, though, I think what he said with the
getting rid of
he wants
them.
to hell yes hell yes I will take away their AR-15s, AK-47s. I think that's a terrible idea.
He also said
that's gonna go so wrong.
He also said I want to get rid of these guns because they were designed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason why he wanted to get rid of them, and I can understand why.
There's an issue with that though, because the Second Amendment itself was made so that the citizens can protect the rest of their rights in the amendments, in the Constitution. They want to make sure that if the government becomes tyrannical, like let's say something like this would happen, the government would be able to say, you know what, let's take away the First Amendment. You know what, let's take away the Seventh Amendment. You know, let's take these things away. Because, I mean, you guys can't do anything about it. You lost your guns.
Yes.
Which I think is really dangerous with trying to say, hey, I want a mandatory gun buyback for assault rifles.
I forgot whose candidate said this, but one of the candidates did specify about more restricting of background checks.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I think it was Klobuchar and Cory Booker.
Oh, Booker.
I think Booker mentioned it as well, about how he wanted to make sure that anyone that wants a firearm has to get a license.
Yes.
And I mean, I can agree with that. I can see that being understandable. But
it's been working. It's been working for a little bit.
I mean, don't we have to get a hunting license if we want to hunt?
Yeah.
So already then that's technically a firearm license.
Yes.
But I mean, only in this case of like hunting.
Yes.
It's a little bit different, but it still works.
But yeah, it's better than completely just getting rid of our Second Amendment, basically.
But also, what's interesting and what I was a little annoyed with Amy Klobuchar is she claims that there is a bill in office right now that she wants to pass that makes it illegal for anyone convicted of domestic abuse to own a firearm. That's already a thing.
Yeah.
That was already passed in 1996.
Oh,
around that.
I thought it was 1997. But yeah,
I think it was either 96 or 97.
Yeah.
And no, it was in 96.
96?
It was called the Lattenberg Amendment. It was the amendment to the actual it was I forget which specific gun control law, but as stated from a website, justice.gov, with the criminal resource manual, it states, the following is a full text of the announcement that was set by the Criminal Division of the United States Attorney's Office upon the passage of Title 18, United States Code, Section 922G9, the Lattenberg Amendment. In the fall of 1996, this provision amends the Federal Gun Control Act, so that's the one, of 1968, by banning the possession of firearms by individuals convicted of a misdemeanor of criminal domestic violence. So this has already been a thing.
But she wants
to then add another one, which doesn't really make sense. Yeah. This already exists. We don't need to worry about domestic abusers that have been convicted to be able to get that. All right. So resilience. That's what you're wanting to really focus on right now. Okay.
So for me, resilience, I just wanted to know, just because like it is, they get to talk about their background, and it gets you to understand a bunch of their candidates. The one I wanted to talk about was Buttigieg.
Okay.
Which was one. He's gay.
Okay.
And how he he was a veteran. He's a veteran, and like how he had to like go through a lot just to hide that he was gay. And serving in the military.
The whole don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell.
That was
I was very respectful because like that's a lot to go through.
Yeah, both serving and then also having to hide that whole
and running too.
Yeah, that's true.
I really respected that from him. And
that's pretty I did not know that. That's actually very interesting.
Yeah. Wait, you didn't know he was gay?
I don't think I wasn't able to get all the way through the full Democratic debate. So that might have happened later on. But also,
like when he proclaimed that he was running, everyone was like, "Oh, it's because he's gay. He shouldn't run." Like,
really?
Yeah,
I never heard about that.
He's gay. He has a husband.
Good for him.
Yeah, good. Awesome. But
so wait, people were claiming like he shouldn't run because he's gay. That's stupid.
It's
That's
like
so
it's
dumb.
like going towards racism.
Yeah.
But now it's like just
Homophobia.
basically homophobic.
Yeah. So you didn't like how? So pretty much you were mentioning how you didn't really like how Yang and
Andrew Yang,
Cory Booker really fully portrayed their whole entire resilience ideal with
resilience, yes.
kind of focusing it more on in a business standpoint than in the sense of the people and them.
That was Andrew Yang. He really,
that was more Andrew Yang
yeah.
thing? Okay.
He, like I said, I respect him as an entrepreneur, but when he talked about America and the people, he made it seem like a business, which I feel like, to me, I didn't really like that, just because I feel like he's just thinking about money, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's true.
Quote unquote entrepreneur.
I can understand the ideas of thinking of it in the sense of a business.
Yeah, running America is on money.
Yeah,
is on money.
Definitely.
So, but he didn't have to go.
It should be a standpoint. Like,
that
you should
money,
think of this only as business.
Yeah, money is
I can
America.
agree with it. Yeah. I mean, some people can see that. I don't really see it like that either.
O'Rourke also talked about resilience with the El Paso shooting, which was a really good, and it was a heavy hitter as well.
It was a strong one, yeah.
It's emotional, and it was carried, and it was well thought out.
It's smart, because that can definitely affect an audience very easily because of how crazy that occurrence was and how easily that can affect an audience.
That also ties in with the AK and AR-15.
Ties in back in with his idea of ban. And that whole topic, which we already went into enough.
Warren, she was a special ed teacher, and how she had to go through that, and then she wanted to run. She first studied law. Then
I remember her mentioning that.
Yeah,
she was originally a law, and then she went into special ed.
Yeah, she went into
special ed. And then after
ed.
that, she decided that she wanted to go into
She wanted
running.
to run as president. And that's a lot to go through.
Yeah,
going through law school, then going through special ed.
It's a very varied career sort of spectrum, which is very interesting. That can definitely give someone a lot of a perspective.
And respect, too.
Definitely.